Well, I did a lot of reading, a lot of resting, a lot of working out. I had a prison job in the library. I had a good rapport with administration as far as staff that I work with each and every day. And I just pretty much was a casual person in the prison. I didn't make no waves, and I end up being like a mediator in a lot of disputes because of not being non-partial to a lot of different things. There's a lot of reasons and factors why people recidivate and go back to prison after being released. Matter of fact, for a long time, it's about 70% of the people that's released from prison were in 90 days will recidivate and go back to prison. So there's a lot of reasons why that happens, and social programming and reentry programming needs to be enhanced so people will have a choice of not going back to prison. I had children. I had a mother that was getting old and ill. Family members that were pretty ashamed because I did go to prison, and not that they didn't love me, but they knew that I had better options, that I could have made better choices. So a lot of those things and the factors that I wasn't getting no younger myself, that I decided to make a change in my life. Well, my mission is to bring back a sense of citizenship back to our community, to change the perception in our communities that the only purpose of young people is to be in gangs and to go to jail and to be not a part of society. So that's my mission, to bring awareness to that, to people that have that perception and change that perception.
Now, the Eastern State Penitentiary is a haunted house attraction. Many people go there around Halloween time to get through the haunted prison. People dress up as crazy prisoners and come out of the cells to scare you. The attraction has caused a lot of controversy because the Eastern State Penitentiary is now portrayed as a Halloween haunted house attraction.
It's an old building. It's been there, but there is a lot of pain and suffering that people experience inside the prison. And it's like I look at it two ways. The concept of a haunted house is entertainment, which only occurs on Halloween, around that season. So in my earlier interview I had with the young lady, I told her that if one person that was confined at Eastern Penitentiary made a big deal about it and didn't want it to happen, I think they should look at it and maybe not doing it.
Haviland's innovative design consisted of cell corridors that radiated from one single guard tower. This design allowed the guards to keep a constant surveillance over 450 inmates from a bird's eye view at all times. In the early 1900s, hundreds of inmates died due to rapid diseases such as tuberculosis and other diseases that plagued the areas of human habitation due to poor sanitation. Eastern State Penitentiary closed in 1971 due to a slew of controversies surrounding dehumanizing practices and atrocious living conditions.
The penitentiary quickly became well known and feared for its various methods of torture and inhumane punishments. A few of these punishments included the iron gag, waterboarding, and the mad chair. The mad chair was an especially gruesome form of punishment, and that involved strapping an inmate into a chair that nearly cut off the circulation to their body and leaving them there for days. During this time of neglect, the prisoner did not receive any food or water. Solitary confinement was perhaps one of the most frightening forms of disciplinary action at Eastern State Penitentiary. Inmates who were not behaving were forced to spend varying amounts of time in the hole, a tiny chamber where the inmate lived in total isolation and were especially vulnerable to developing mental illness and risked worsening pre-existing ones. Even in the general prison population, inmates were subject to a life of utter solitude and would rarely catch a glimpse of sunlight through the small slits that were considered windows.
Masks were fabricated to keep inmates from communicating during rare trips outside their cells. Cells are equipped with feed doors and individual exercise yards to prevent contact between inmates and minimizing contact between inmates and guards. Bacteria and viruses continued to kill until the prison's closure. In total, thousands of inmates and numerous guards died from diseases, malnutrition, and murder throughout the entire history. In 1971, it was officially closed by the state of Pennsylvania. Over the course of its 142 years, the penitentiary held some 75,000 inmates, including the gangster Al Capone.
It is ethically and immorally justifiable that this historic institution would choose to raise money through its haunted attraction, Terror Behind the Walls. Terror Behind the Walls generates 65% of its approximately $4 million annual operating budget, in which they exploit the prison's horrific past, one that includes misguided and brutal rehabilitation methods that caused immense suffering and death. Some people say that Terror Behind the Walls sends the wrong message when the characters in the haunted attraction are dressed up as inmates and are portrayed as aggressive, grotesque, demonic, and sadist. Some argue they also exploit the sense of fear people have towards the mentally ill in the haunted attraction.